Posting daily is not a strategy if your goal is to get consistent and predictable clients into your online coaching business. I'm about to give you a huge light bulb moment here, because whether your goal is to get more inbound leads, you're trying to book more calls consistently, you're trying to get more applications for your program, and ultimately you're trying to drive more sales into your business, posting daily is not the thing. It's posting the right types of content for your ideal clients, and it's creating demand for your stuff. Does that make sense? And so over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through a strategy that's built off of storytelling principles, a content strategy that's built off of storytelling principles that has been massively helpful for me and for a lot of my clients over the last couple of years. Now, story time. I used to think that posting 2 to 3 times a day was the thing. I remember going live from it was around September 2019 to probably around March 2021. I went live almost every day. There was very rarely a day that I would miss. Like literally, I'd be out walking with my family, and I'd be doing a live like at the park, and my wife knew. She's like, "Jason's gonna freaking do a live today," and it was pretty much an everyday thing. And then I thought, because I was getting clients, I was getting leads, I was getting people coming in, that was the thing. I was like, that's the thing that's getting me clients, so I should do more of it. And so sometimes I'd do 2 lives a day, or I would do a live and I would make a post, and then I started to make 3 posts, and it got out of hand. And I quickly realized that doing more didn't get me more clients. In fact, I was more burned out, and I had less calls booked on my calendar. And I was just like what the heck, like what the heck? And I was beating my head against the wall trying to figure this out. Like, what was I missing? And that's when it hit me like a ton of friggin' bricks across the skull. And I was just like, dude, you're so dumb. It was that it wasn't the amount of content that I was publishing at that time. It was the message and the stories that I was sharing. And that's when I started to really like dive deeper into this, and I started to study the underlying principles of storytelling and of effective messaging and communication. And I realized that that is the key. It's not about the frequency, because more isn't always better. Better is better. Different is better. And it's like a positioning yourself different to your ideal clients, so that your ideal clients are like, it captures their attention. And then be able to move people through the natural stages of a buying cycle. This is what demand creation is all about. It's about moving people from aware. They're just aware they have a problem, then they're aware that you exist, and then they're in the consideration phase of like, all right, I'm trying to figure something out, and then they're going to be making a decision, right? This is what conversion's about. So it hit me hard, and I see this all of the time, where I have consulted with people that have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, you name it, and they're inconsistent with converting people. They have tons of leads, tons of people in their inbox, but like they're not converting people consistently, and they have what they would call tire kickers. And it's because they're just so focused on being the most popular person on social media versus actually grasping these principles that I'm teaching to you right now and applying them and being able to actually speak to their ideal clients, be able to create the demand for their stuff, and then to sell and change lives. So if you're not trying to be a fluffuencer and you just want to have like your ego inflated because you have hundreds of thousands of people that you're not actually helping because they're not in your world, you're giving them tips here and there that maybe are feeding the dopamine cycle for them. But if you actually want to be able to convert people on a regular basis, you're going to want to try out this content strategy that we're going to go into right about now. All right, so called the Story Driven Content Plan. I'll probably come up with better names for it. And it's based off of a 3-act structure, right? 3-act structure. This is a famous storytelling structure. And I've taken these principles and I've used it to mapping out a content plan. So you could do this all in 1 week. The way I'm going to show it to you now is across about 3 weeks, across about a month. But this can work in a week's. You could do a week content plan with this, 2-week content plan, 3-week, 4-week. It's all the same, right? And so week 1. So again, just for clarity here, and we'll go into this. The intention of this is to create demand and to speak to our ideal clients' deepest pains, their fears, their goals, their motivations, and to be able to create a storyline within our content. So instead of you just like posting content like here's how to lose belly fat without dieting, right? It's like, no, we want to create a storyline to it so people can actually move through. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I want to be clear on what this is, just in case I wasn't, right? So week one is the lead generation hook, right? This is the setup of the 3-act structure. So this is act one. And we can even type this in here for extreme clarity. This is act one, the setup. And so our content is going to be, and I'm going to show you how to come up with these themes in a minute. I'm just going to walk you through some examples and we'll walk through like, here's how I came up with them. But how to go from 5K to 30K without paid ads. That would be like a lead generation hook. That would be a theme that I might use in my content. And I would create different content around that. Maybe a YouTube video. Maybe I do a colored background post on Facebook with a nice hook, getting people to raise their hand. Maybe I do an Instagram reel or a carousel. Maybe I put this in my story as a poll and ask people if they're interested in seeing how to do this, right? I would use this as a theme in my content that week, right? Another example could be like how to reduce stubborn belly fat without cutting carbs. This would be the theme that I would use this week. I would do something that would hook in my ideal clients, and then I would create content based off of that. Various types of content based off of this one kind of hook, if you will. And the goal in week one is to fill your pipeline with new leads and to nurture existing leads. That is the intention. That's the goal, right? Week two is what I call value build week. And so this is act two. It's the conflict. And so here we want to start introducing conflict, like talking about limiting beliefs and objections and mistakes, things that are holding your audience back. And so a hook theme, again, I like to keep the themes relatively the same across the month. At least this is how I roll. You don't necessarily have to do this. But a theme example could be like the 5-step content strategy for attracting high-paying clients, right? And so another example would be like how to lose belly fat, the 5 biggest mistakes. And so what I'd be talking about in the content this week, whether it's a YouTube video, whether I'm posting on social media, is my goal here is to give out free value, build up the goodwill, the reciprocity. And my goal is to be able to shift people's beliefs around common misconceptions, around common mistakes that they're making, maybe dismantling certain objections that they have. That's what I'm really going to be focused on within my content that week while building tons of value. Giving people ahas, epiphanies, insights, right? Simple steps that they can take to start achieving a result. That's week number 2. Week number 3, this is act 3, and this is going to be resolution. And so in our world, we invite people to a workshop. And so our content throughout the week will hook people in. It'll build, conflict, it'll build value. And then we'll invite people to a workshop or some kind of training. And this is the resolution to where we're going in depth with people, giving them high level and eye level, like tactical things that they can do to be able to resolve the problem that our content's been talking about that week. Does this make sense? And so the goal here is to nurture warm leads and then invite those people to a next step. So let's kind of unpack this a little bit. So this is a nice little visual of how this looks. Now, these different posts, if you will, types of content aren't necessarily the only way. This is just a very simple example to show you how to use this kind of content to be able to fill your DMs with more inbound leads, with the right people. And I'm going to break down in this because you could do this wrong way and get the wrong leads, and it's just going to be a frustrating experience. And so you always want to have a starting point, right? So the setup, the awareness stage, this was act 1 that we talked about, lead generation hook week, is we want to have some kind of hand raiser hook. This is going to be a very simple post that you would create. It could be a poll. It could be a colored background post on Facebook. It could be a caption post, but it's like some kind of hook that you're just getting people to raise their hand. And so my goal personally would be to want to start to introduce the topic here, right? So if I knew the workshop I was going to be talking about, say, how to reduce belly fat without cutting carbs, I would want to make my hook related to that. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, we'll go into some examples in just a minute. And then I want to start to be able to shift people's beliefs at the end of the setup week and into the conflict week. And so this would be where you can start to make content that challenges the common norms in your industry, right? So if you're in weight loss, you could challenge the diet industry, right? You could start to discredit some of the mistakes people are making. Maybe they're cutting carbs, maybe they're whatever they're doing for your specific niche. And you could start to shift their perspectives into what you know to be true, what you believe, right? And then I like to have authority. This is where you're introducing people to a new idea, a new way, a new mechanism. Uh, and then you would show social proof of somebody using that mechanism with these new beliefs, and then the conversion event. This is just an idea, right? So it goes from setup, conflict resolution, which is the awareness stage, consideration stage, and conversion stage. So awareness stage would be like they're aware they have a problem, and then they become aware of you. Consideration stage is they're like, I'm trying to figure this out. I kind of like this coach and this coach or this service provider. They're looking at products, right? They're considering what to do. And if you get them roped into your storyline, they're going to choose you because nobody else knows how to do this masterfully, like what I'm showing you. And then there's the conversion stage. This is where you get them onto some kind of workshop. You get them onto some kind of consultation, something that is what I would consider more of like a mechanism for you to deliver value and then offer somebody an invitation, a next step. And this is where they decide on what they're going to do. And so I'm going to unpack a couple of examples before we end this video, but let's go ahead and go into these steps to make this work for you. So step number one is you've got to define the core story. And so you got to understand that the hero in this story is your avatar, right? And so an example here could be like career-driven moms struggling to lose stubborn belly fat and experiencing low energy. Like that could be the hero, but they're struggling right now, right? They're the struggling avatar. So you want to come up with themes for this story, just like if you were making a movie, a book, or something like that, right? And so the theme here could be based around pains and symptoms, goals and motivations, and objections and beliefs. And so we would think like, all right, she's trying to lose stubborn fat around her belly and thighs. She's been frustrated with yo-yo dieting and feel overwhelmed by conflicting advice, right? See, these are maybe some of the pains and symptoms that are appearing in your hero's story. Some of the goals and motivations that your hero has, 8K, your ideal client, is she wants to feel confident in her clothes, improve her energy levels, and adopt a sustainable lifestyle that allows her to enjoy food without guilt. That's what she wants, man. That's what she's going for. Right? And then you can even overcome objections. What fears or misconceptions or beliefs are holding her back, your hero back, right? Maybe she's like, I don't need a diet to stop eating. You're telling them that you don't need a diet and stop eating carbs to lose belly fat, right? So we want to get clear on the messaging. We want to get clear on the words that we're going to use, on the theme, on the storyline. Otherwise, all of this stuff will fall flat. And then we want to map out the content journey. So the purpose here is to align the content that you're posting to meet the needs and questions of your avatar at each stage of the purchasing process, right? Awareness, consideration, and conversion. And so I also call it decision because they're freaking deciding, right? And so the awareness, right? Like I like to think when I'm creating the content is Emily, as we name her that, right? Realizes that her current methods aren't working and she starts to search for new approaches to fat loss. So you can't grasp people that aren't aware they even have a problem and they're not searching. So when we're creating content for where your avatar is, and they're likely searching for new approaches to solve their problem. That's what's going to actually capture their attention when you have a really good hook around it, right? And then consideration is they define their problem, they're researching options. So if you've ever given away a lead magnet or a PDF, right, a video, you're hosting workshops, these are people that are exploring various solutions right now. And so we want to be able to move them into that phase. And then there's the decision phase. This is where they choose a solution. So I love to host workshops because it allows me to be able to just coach people. This is what I'm passionate about. I love to help people and coach people. So I would rather bring somebody on to something that I'm passionate about, and they could see me in action, and they could decide if they vibe with me and they want to work with me, right? It's like these YouTube videos. These are a great opportunity for people to kind of like experience my coaching style. The difference of the workshops is like people get to be on there live with you, and they get to kind of see you more in a Zoom setting, a workshop setting, to see if they vibe. So I really like the workshops for most people, especially in the coaching space. So We'll end this with just some examples of what some of these things might look like, right? So if I was going to do a hand raiser hook, it might, and let's go ahead and stay with the fat loss theme for now, right? I might choose something like who wants to see, like I might say for like the hook that I'm trying to hand raiser, I'm like who wants to see the 3-step process for losing stubborn belly fat without cutting any carbs out in under 30 minutes a day? Something like that, right? I come up with a great hook that's going to speak to none other than our hero. If it's speaking to anybody but your hero, your ideal client, you're doing this wrong. The belief shifting content, I might think of a belief now. So maybe she believes that she has to cut carbs and she has to diet, and it's going to take her, an hour to 2 hours a day to work out and cook. And that's what she believes. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to maybe shift the belief. I might say, look, it's not about eating healthy. It's not about working out for hours. It's about eating right. And it's about doing the right workouts for your body type. And then I could shift the belief through a story. I could tell now a story maybe of a client who used to think old belief and was making old mistakes. And now now the client's making has new belief and is doing rightful actions. Right? So all I'm trying to do is shift the perspective. And the easiest way to do that is telling your personal story or a client story. And then we have authority, right? So authority, you want to introduce a new mechanism. So if I was trying to sell the belief of like you got to eat right, not just healthy, I would introduce my Flex Fuel Nutrition Framework. That's an old framework for my business, my fitness business, right? If I was trying to sell people on the fact that you should use storyline in your content, that it converts way better because it freaking does, I would sell the mechanism, right? Story driven content plan, or a narrative content mapping. Like, and I'm like, this is the mechanism that's helping us, right? And I would like, I'm trying to sell you on the mechanism because I know it works. And now you're like, I've never tried it like that before. That's the goal of what you're trying to do with your mechanism. Is you're not trying to like reinvent the wheel. It's like, if we look at like what I'm doing right now, I'm not reinventing the wheel. Storytelling has been around forever. All I've done is I've come up with a unique way to infuse storytelling and storylines into your content to be able to move your avatar through an actual story versus just randomly posting content daily and hoping for the best. This is an actual succinct strategy. I didn't invent anything, so to speak. I just like took principles and came up with something. Right? You're not going to invent like eating flexibly or lifting weights, but you can have your unique experience about it. You can have your unique spin on it. So I can be like my Flex Fuel Nutrition Plan. I can be like my metabolic intensity training regimen, right? And you come up with just a cool, not clever, but a unique name for it. And now people are like, I haven't tried that, right? And then you want to be able to show social proof of people using that mechanism, right? You want to be, I could be like my client, Patty, used our messaging framework, our magic messaging framework, and all of a sudden she went from 5K a month to hitting $21,000 per month in her online weight loss business, right? My client Holly went from using like every diet under the sun, like keto, blah blah blah, to using our Flex Fuel Nutrition Framework, and next thing you know, she was down like 11 inches in about 4 months. Right, so you're just showing social proof, and you're telling stories around it. And then you get people to your event, and the whole event would be based around whatever your main theme was, right? So in this case, it would be stubborn belly fat, or my other example here was like content strategy for packaging high paying clients, right? So now you're like going more into teaching mode, and you're kind of combining it. So you hook people in, you're shifting beliefs, you sell them on a new belief, you're introducing your mechanisms, you're unpacking the mechanism a little bit more, showing people like this is how it works, this is what to do, right? You share social proof, and then you give them tactical things that they can apply real time without overwhelming them, and then people are going to trust you a heck of a lot more, and you're resolving. It's like a resolution. It's the end to the story. And then you open loop people by giving them a next step into your world. And then it creates a whole new storyline. And that's a video for another day on how to create a customer client journey to where you're open looping and you're creating an entire world for people to be able to achieve their greatest goals, motivations, and aspirations. My friend, I hope you found this really, really helpful. Remember this: pretty simplistic. It unpacks. We get way more. We can go way deeper in this. And in fact, I will be. And I'll shoot you an. I'll give you an invite in just a second. But to recap, the React structure. Week 1 is lead generation hook. You want to set up, have a really good hook to get interest, fill your pipeline with new leads, nurture existing leads. Week 2 is value build week. We want to start to be able to get people like thinking new beliefs. We want to implant new beliefs, introduce our mechanism, and we want to be able to start to really build that goodwill. And then week 3 is we want to be able to resolve it, invite people to a workshop, give warm leads value, and then invite them to a next step. And again, I've mapped this out over 3 weeks. This can literally be scrunched into 1 week, 2 weeks, all the way up into a month. I wouldn't recommend going too long of a storyline past a month because it becomes a lot. And I will be doing a full workshop on this. I will link the workshop below, but the website is, if you want to get a head start, is www.indemandcoach.com/content mapping workshop. So www.indemandcoach.com/content, little horizontal dash mapping, horizontal dash workshop. And we'll link it down below. And you're welcome to attend this workshop where we're going to be unpacking this in detail for you. All right, my friend. If you have any questions, let me know. If you found this video helpful, make sure to smash that like button, click subscribe for more, and drop your comments down below. Remember, your message matters, your story matters. Don't be afraid to speak it.